here. So I would present today the LAQUAtwin meters for agriculture field testing and nutrition management. Okay, and my name is Emmanuel Francois, and I work for HORIBA for many years, and I am located in Houston. I'm doing this presentation in English today, but usually I do this presentation in Spanish, and I'm in charge of Latin America, but I wanted to share this experience that we have in Latin America for LAQUAtwin in agriculture with our American and North American distributor and end user. So I will start by giving a presentation of the HORIBA group, and we have 5 segments of activities. The first segment is automotive test system, biggest segment of HORIBA. We do automotive measurement system, and we do mechatronic analysis system. Then we also have our test and environmental part, where we do ambient air monitoring station, continuous emission monitoring system, and we have a process gas and water quality analyzer. We also have a medical segment where we do in vitro diagnostic system, mainly for biological analysis and laboratory blood chemistry and hematology. Then we also have a semiconductor segment where we do fluid control, instrument for vaporization, mass flow controller, liquid, automatic refill system. So all of this is used for in the semiconductor factory in the production process. And then we have also our scientific segment where we do elemental analysis. We have a Raman spectrometer, fluorescence equipment, X-ray spectrometer. We do elemental analysis, particle size, and also the electrochemistry range that I will present partly today. Continuing with HORIBA, just the group for your information. The head office is in Kyoto, Japan, but we have 50 HORIBA companies in the world, 7 in the US. And we are at the moment 8,288 employees in the world. For annual turnover, $1.8 billion. I don't know what it is. Okay, so now we will be focusing on the electrochemistry range. HORIBA, for pH meter, we have a long history. Actually, the pH meter was the first product of HORIBA, built in 1950s, which was the first pH meter with a glass electrode in Japan. And we have been continuing developing new range of product until the last line, which was the handle meter. So sometimes people don't know really the name of HORIBA for pH electrode and pH meters, but this is just to show that we are not a newcomer in this field. We have a lot of experience. Then the electrochemistry range for HORIBA includes our pocket meter, what I'm going to present today, but we also have handle meters, we have oil in water analyzer, we have a multi-parameter water quality probe, we have laboratory benchtop meters, and we also have online water quality meters. Okay, different parameters, connectivity, disallows.
Han, can you pick that up, please?
I'm going to, if you could just put your microphone on mute, background noise. So the pH meter are the pocket meters, LAQUAtwin. So this range includes a pH meter, conductivity meter, but also we have a nitrate meter, salt meter, sodium meter, potassium meter, calcium meter. So when we are looking at pH and connectivity, HORIBA has a lot of competition in the market, and we tend to be one of the most expensive brands. But we have something which is very unique, is the flat sensor that allows us to measure like a solid or semi-solid sample, but also a micro amount of sample, which the other brand cannot do. We also have the ion meters, so nitrate, sodium, potassium, calcium. These meters are very important in agriculture. We're going to see this now. But these meters use what is called the ion selective electrode. And for this, we don't have any competition on the market. We have some other pocket meters, but they will be more photometers. So it's not as easy to use and to do the measurement. And we will see why. So today, I want to present the LAQUAtwin meters used for field crop nutrition monitoring. Okay, this is, I would say, for LAQUAtwin meters in the world, is probably the #1 application. So first, when we are working in agriculture with farmers, with growers, we have 3 sampling points. The first sampling point will be the nutritive solution or the solution used for the irrigation. Okay. The second point of sampling will be the soil. And then the third point of sampling will be the plant sap. We can measure all the parameters, including in the LAQUAtwin range, pH, conductivity, and then the ion, nitrate, sodium, potassium, and calcium, but also 2 other parameters that unfortunately we cannot measure are the magnesium and the phosphorus, which are also very key treatment for plant growth. So why are we measuring in nutritive solution? First, to make sure that the nutritive solution has the expected nutrient concentration. So when a grower is preparing his solution, he wants to reach a specific concentration for each ion, and then the LAQUAtwin meter can just be the tool to verify that the recipes were done correctly. Also, we can do measurement in hydroponic culture. So in hydroponic culture, as you know, there is no soil and we are flowing water with nutriment inside. So what usually the hydroponic growers are doing is doing a measurement of nutrients in the entrance and then in the outlet. So they can see the difference of concentration between the inlet and the outlet and see what was the absorption by the plant. Also, the LAQUAtwin meter can be used to measure the groundwater quality. This is used for irrigation. So usually the farmers want to check that he has the correct pH and that the salinity is not too high. Okay? And then also we can do some measurement directly in a dripping system. So normally the dripping system is distributing the nutritive solution. So it's about the same thing that measuring the nutritive solution. The nutritive solution usually is prepared in big tanks, like as we can see on the pictures. And when we measure in a dripping system, we can really see that everything is working well through all the dripping system. Then we can also do soil measurements. So we are measuring the nutrient concentration in the soil as well as the pH and the conductivity value. And these 3 ways to measure in the soil. First, we'll do a direct measurement. So it's not really direct, but we'll have to prepare a saturated paste. For this, we will need a scale to measure accurately the weight of the soil sample, and then we will dilute it with the same amount of deionized water. We'll obtain a paste that we will be then measuring on a sensor. We will see it later more in details. We can also use a soil solution extraction. We use a lithometer, which is a kind of a tube that is inserted in the soil, as we can see on the top pictures, which will allow to extract the solution which is available in the soil. We cannot have it directly, it takes some time, but it gives us a very clean solution, very easy to measure without having to do a dilution. And then we have the laboratory measurement. So this is a complement to the field testing, especially because in the field we cannot measure the micronutrients, and this is important to know. So usually for this, the only way is to do a lab test. And then we can do, and this is what is really unique with the LAQUAtwin, it will be the measurement in plant sap. The plant sap usually is extracted from fresh special. It is analyzed and provide information about the nutritional state of the crop. So it's important to follow a strict sampling protocol. This is very important. First, always selecting the same leaves in the plant. So usually we select the youngest mature leaf, which is used as a reference. And then also it's very important to do the sampling collection at the same time of the day, because the nutrients are very mobile within the plant. And this is also linked to the position of the sun in the sky. So to get a good homogeneous data and not avoiding any intraday variation, it's important to always select same time for sampling. Usually it will be in the morning before 10. On the sap testing, the unique method monitor in real time the plant nutrition directly in the field. There is a recommendation table that exists with the recommended usual level of nutriment in the plant at different phenological stage, because plant does not need the same quantity of nitrate what is at the vegetative state compared to the pre-harvest. So we can see that the requirements are changing. So what we want to see is to analyze what is the exact plant nutrition we want to apply to the crop. Okay. So what is the benefit of these techniques? First, we can obtain an instant precious information about the nutritional stage of the crop. This is mainly what we get from the sap, but as well as the nutrient concentration, nutrient available for the plant absorption. And this is what we will see in the soil and in the nutritive solution. And also, we can see, as we will see later on, what is the link between what is in the soil and what is absorbed by the plant, and that we can measure directly in the leaves. Okay, and do it yourself. Yes, so no more need to use a laboratory for every analysis. And usually when samples are sent to the laboratory, it takes approximately 2 weeks to receive the result. So using the LAQUAtwin, we can have an instant. This enables the growers and farmers to take immediate decision to adjust the fertilization plan before to observe the physical impact of deficiencies, but can also be excess on the plant. Also, it allows to understand and establish the optimal nutrient level. So this is changing from crop to crop, with a different type of varieties. A crop is changing with the type of soil, is changing with the type of climate. So really, we cannot just have one information which is good for everyone, and this is changing a lot. So usually, every farmer will have his own optimal levels. And this technology is easy to use. LAQUAtwin is super easy to use, and it gives a quick analysis, precise. The meters are reliable, and it's a very inexpensive method compared to the laboratory analysis on the long run. So what is the sub-testing protocol? As we said before, select the youngest leaves fully developed. Usually we will take about 10 leaves per acre, and the leaves should be collected at ambient temperature between 58 to 82 Fahrenheit and with 60 to 85% of relative humidity. Then what we will do is we will separate the special for the stem. Okay, so I'm going to specify here, why do we use the special? The special is used because it's really what we will be measuring in the special is the sap. So the sap which is mobile in the plant. If we would do the measurement in the leaves, we will also measure the nutrients which are the structural nutrients which are in the plant cells, and we don't want to measure this because what we want to know is the flow of nutrients, not what is the structural nutrients. So when we compare this SAP testing with a laboratory analysis is like a leaves analysis. It's usually called a foliar analysis. And in that case, the farmer will cut the leaves, send it to the laboratory. In a laboratory, the sample will be dried, will be crushed, and will be measured. So when we look at foliar analysis, we will see concentration in percent. Because there is no more moisture, everything is concentrated, and they will also be measuring the structural nutrients. When in our case, we really measure what is the concentration of nutriment in the plant sap. I think if we compare this to human, it's like if we do an analysis of blood, this will be the equivalent of the sap, where we are looking at the calcium concentration, and the foliar analysis in laboratory will be like if we will be completely crushed and we will be measuring also the calcium which is in the different organs, including the bones everywhere. So what we want to do is really this equivalent of blood analysis, which is used in the SAP with the special. Okay. So then coming back to the special, we will separate them from the stem and we will cut them in small pieces, usually half of an inch with a scissor, and then we will squeeze them with a press, and we will be obtaining about 2 milliliters of sample. And this sample can be placed directly on the LAQUAtwin meters after it has been calibrated. We will see this later, but when we do a measurement, the concentration of nutrient is usually very high. For example, in tomatoes, the nitrate concentration can be up to a few thousand ppm. So if we use another technique, such as a photometer, we will have to dilute the sample up to 50 times in order to fit the equipment range. When we use a LAQUAtwin meter with a very wide range, usually we don't have to do dilution when we start, even though that the concentration of nutrients are very high. So for example, here we can see the nitrate. So we have nitrate, and we can see for tomatoes, for example, we have a different stage: blooming, early fruit, bulking, harvesting, with different levels. So usually the nitrate should be high when the plant is growing, and also when the fruit is growing. But after, at the end, before the harvesting time, what is the most important is actually the calcium level, because the calcium is what is going to give a good shelf life to the fruit. When the nitrate is allowing the plant to grow, and the potassium is allowing to have a nice fruit. Okay. Also, when it comes to nitrate, sometimes you can see NO3-N, or sometimes it's only NO3. So what is the difference? NO3-N is actually the nitrogen part of the nitrate molecule. So we only express the nitrogen of the nitrate molecule. But the meter can do the conversion. We can select the meter and set the meter with the requested unit. So we have the option between nitrate or nitrogen. Okay, and basically the factor is the nitrate concentration divided by 4.42 give us the nitrogen concentration. Okay. Then doing the soil measurement. So what we would do normally is take a soil sample at the root depth. So we can get a precise idea of what is the nutrient level at the level of the root system, because this is where the nutrients are absorbed by the plant. Okay. It's recommended to take various samples to have a homogeneous representation of the culture. Then we will pass the soil sample through a sieve to remove the small stones of the organic matter. And then after that, we can weigh about 10 grams of soil. Well, not about, we can decide on the quantity 10 or 20 grams, but then we'll have to do it precisely. So in this case, 10 grams of soil sample, and we will prepare a 1:1 dilution with distilled water. Then we will mix it for about 2 minutes and then let it settle for 5 minutes, and we obtain a paste. And this paste can be directly measured with a LAQUAtwin, of course, before, after calibrating the LAQUAtwin. For ions, we have to multiply the reading of the meter by the dilution factor. So if we use 10 grams of soil and 10 milliliters of deionized water, we will have to multiply by 2 to calculate the real concentration in the soil. Then we can do a measurement in, as I said before, in the soil solution. That's the easiest way. This is for culture with a dripping system usually, and we use an equipment, this tube called a lysimeter. Okay, usually it comes from the brand Hirometer. First, we will be selecting the size of the lysimeter according to the type of crop, because we really need to do the sampling at the depth of the roots. So first we need to dig a hole and insert the lysimeter, and then we will do a vacuum with in a tube with a pump or with a syringe. And after 4 to 6 hours, we will be having enough soil solution in the tube to do a measurement with the LAQUAtwin. Okay? In that case, we don't have to do filtration, we don't do dilution, we don't have to multiply by the dilution factor. It's very easy to do the measurement. But usually our customer will install the lysimeter one day and do the vacuum and come back the next day to do the measurement. So, and then the idea is to understand what is the optimal level for each nutriment. So what we can see in this graph, we have the production in tons per hectare, and we have the amount of fertilizer used. Okay, so when we have the optimal level here, we can see it's a level that does not allow to have the highest production. Maybe we will lose 5% compared to the highest possible production, but we will be saving a lot more in fertilizer expense. So maybe we don't have the highest fertilization, but we could reduce the expenses in fertilizer by 2. So this is what we really want to find as the optimal level. So, and this allows us to keep a high production and save in fertilizer cost, or at least not waste it for nothing if the concentration in the sap is already good enough. No need to add some more fertilizer. So usually we can see it's a lot of farmers that when they don't do the measurement, they don't exactly know what is in the plant. So just to be on the safe side, they will add some more fertilizer just to avoid any deficiency. But additionally, that it can have a negative effect. This is also a lot of expense. The idea is to save fertilizer and make sure that we always have the right level of nutrients. So here we can see the relationship between the concentration of nitrate in a soil solution and in a plant sap. So we can see here, week 30, the nitrate concentration was identified as too low. So the grower decided to increase the nitrate concentration in a nutritive solution to correct the deficiency. And then you can see the 2 following weeks. First, the nitrate level will increase in the soil solution, of course, because it comes from the nutritive solution directly in the soil. But we can see that 2 weeks later, the plant has absorbed all the nitrate, and we can see that the concentration multiplied almost by 3 inside the leaves. So it's also a way to make sure that the plant is absorbing well the nutriment. Sometimes, for some reason, can be the pH or can be some other reason, the plant cannot really absorb well the nutriment. And also for this, the LAQUAtwin meter is a good tool. But it's also a very good tool if we are looking at the application or the users. Is a good tool for the agronomist. Okay, why? Because these LAQUAtwin meter are a perfect tool for them to develop a field nutrient monitoring program. Okay, so as we use the meter more often, we would be able to understand what is the requirement for our field. We can see, for example, even if the starting point, we don't have so much data available, we can see, for example, here I have a good plant, is in a great state. So I take a measurement of nitrate, and then I will do the comparison with another plant, which is clearly showing deficiency because we can see it on the leaves. And then we can see, okay, the right plant has a concentration, for example, of 1000, while the plant having a deficiency has a concentration of 500. So maybe we know that if it goes below 800, we start having some deficiency issues. So that's very important. It's also good to establish the exact crop nutrition requirement. So the only way to know that is to compare the nutrition together with the yield we will obtain. Okay, but we can also see how the plant reacts to the fertilization, and we can also develop recommendation table with optimal level for a specific crop or for a specific farm. And the last point, but which is very important, I had many times speaking with some customers saying, hey, I use the LAQUAtwin meter, or my customer use the LAQUAtwin meter. I want them to be able to do the measurement in the field, and then they will take the pictures of the result of the LAQUAtwin meter, especially for plant sap, and then they will send the pictures to me, and based on this reading, I would be able to give a recommendation without having to be at the farm. And I spoke with some agronomists who were able to give these services even if they were living in another country. So I think this is a very great tool for agronomists. Okay, so now I'm going to present the meter more specifically. So first, on the major feature. So the unique point about the LAQUAtwin meter is the flat sensor technology. We use the same measurement principle that the traditional electrode, which is pH, or also an ion electrode. Keeping in mind that an ion electrode, the cost of an ion electrode is almost 3 times more than a LAQUAtwin, excluding the price of the meter. We use the same principle. Maybe it's not as accurate as a laboratory meter, but it's still very accurate and is very competitive in terms of price. Also, what we cannot do with a traditional laboratory electrode is we can measure micro volume of sample only from one drop. So when we are talking about here measuring soil and making a paste, we can put the paste directly on the sensor easily. Or when we want to extract plant sap, it's very difficult to get a lot of sample, almost impossible to get more than 2, 3, 4 milliliters. Otherwise, the farmer needs to cut too much plant. Yes, so he doesn't want to do that. So in that case, it's very convenient to be able to do the measurement from just a drop, and it can be also passed from one meter to the other. We can do also direct measurement of solid sample or paste. We discuss about it, and we have a very strong correlation with the laboratory measurement. Okay. Additionally, the key selling point, well, we do not require sample preparation or reagent. The measurement takes only a few seconds before to stabilize, and it's very easy to use. There is 3 buttons. As explained, we have a lot of farmers using our meter. So farmers are normally very knowledgeable, but they are not laboratory professionals. And most of them are not being trained to use laboratory equipment. But LAQUAtwin is so easy to use that we have a lot of farmers doing this measurement. Okay, that we don't need to be laboratory professionals. And also, as I explained before, we have a wide measurement range, especially for the iron, so we don't need to do dilution, especially when it comes to plant sap measurement. And it's cheaper and quicker than a lab measurement. Cheaper because on the long run, it would cost, I think we did the calculation, something like $0.5 per measurement. When the laboratory would be more like $10, $15 for simple measurement. And it's quicker because we have an instant result. Okay, so when we sell the meter is supplied in a ready-to-use package, which is the meter, 2 bottles of standard solution on a plastic case. Usually the 2 standard solution including in the box, we allow to do about 30 calibration. We have as a consumable the sensors. So the sensor, the common question is how long does it last? So usually we say up to 1,500 measurements or 1 year of use. But the lifetime of the sensor is always depending of the frequency of use, and is always depending on the different the frequency of use and also the type of sample. Sorry. So the way to use the measurement. So we have 3 main steps. First is the calibration. We can do it calibration in 1 or in 2 points, on a daily calibration. Second, we will do the measurement. So the analysis appears, or the result appears in second, and then when the measurement is stable, we have the smiley face. Then finally, we want to do the cleaning. We can use water with 5% of natural soap if the sample is kind of dirty, and then after we can dry the sensor. Here we have an example of a correlation here of nitrate in different type of crop. So comparing the LAQUAtwin meters with the ion chromatography. And we also have here some other comparison with the treatment in isotonic drink. And also we have some comparison with HPLC. In spread sample, we have a great correlation. And then we have a different way to do the measurement. Okay, one way is immersion. The other one is we can scoop, or we can use a drop. We can use a solid sample. So now, when we use a solid sample, we have to make sure that this sample contains enough moisture to do the measurement. And also, as I will show it just a little bit later, make sure that the sample is in contact with the 2 main parts of the electrode. This is critical. We can also measure powder, but usually if the powder doesn't include enough moisture, we will have to add some water on paper and textile, and also be measured. But dry and so now there is some tricks to get the best accuracy with your LAQUAtwin meters. First, we want to make a good calibration. This is very critical. And before that, we want to do an electrode conditioning. Electrode conditioning is not always necessary, but is very critical when the meter has not been used for a long time. So when the meter has not been used for a long time, we need to put some solution to recondition the electrode. Otherwise, if we do the calibration directly, we will see the meter will be drifting as we will do the measurement. Okay, as the meter gets more conditioned, we can see the best is, and we recommend this, at least to leave the highest concentration of standard solution on the sensor, maybe for 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or to use the meter. Only if it has not been used for more than a week. Okay? And then we recommend to do the 2-point calibration. It's much better than the 1-point calibration. It gives us a better accuracy in range. Also, the calibration frequency is important. The best is a daily calibration, especially for the ions, or we recommend to do the calibration within the same day, every 30 measurements. Also, it's important to do to select the relevant calibration. So this is more general, not so for agriculture, but for example, in agriculture, nitrate, we will be measuring concentration in 1,000 plus up to 10,000 people. Okay, but if we want to do nitrate measurement in drinking water, the maximum concentration is 10 milligram per liter. So if we calibrate our meter with the two solutions that comes with the meter 150 and 2000 ppm, it's not a really relevant calibration point to measure water. So fortunately, on LAQUAtwin meter, we can adjust the two calibration points to make sure that we fit the concentration of our sample. Okay? And also, this is very important to wait for the complete sensor response before we calibrate. So on the meter, there is a calibration button, and I always recommend to our customer first to put the calibration solution on the sensor, wait to see that the reading is stable and doesn't move anymore, and then after that we can calibrate. Otherwise, sometimes the meter tends to calibrate too quickly, and then we don't have the perfect calibration. Also, we want to make a good measurement, so for this, we wait enough time to do the stabilization. We need to select the suitable meter. So, for example, sodium or salt, but it can also apply for the other bench handle meter. Consider the sample characteristic. What is the temperature? If it's viscous sample, any interfering ions in my sample. It's also very critical for the LAQUAtwin is to cover completely the sensor. As we can see on the little pictures here, the electrode is made with two parts. One part is here the electrode, so it can be pH or the ion selective electrode. On the top, on the tip, we have a little point, which is the reference electrode. So when we do a measurement, we want our sample to cover these 2 points completely. That we don't need to have a lot of sample on the sensor, but at least we want to have the sample that cover completely the 2 parts of the electrode, so we have a good contact for the current, and we can. And then finally, we want to avoid the extreme temperature. So the meters, LAQUAtwin meter, they have inside they have a temperature compensation unit. But because the temperature sensor is not directly in contact with the sample, if we work with small volumes, it will take some time to adjust. So I usually recommend to do the measurement when the sample is at ambient temperature. Most of the time would be the case, but if we work with a very tiny amount of sample, usually it's very quick to adjust to the ambient temperature. And finally, we have the electrode maintenance. The electrode maintenance usually is the cleaning. There is not much to do, but is mainly the cleaning with water after every measurement. So and I made the mistake myself too with my demo unit. Sometimes I do like a sap measurement, and I forgot to remove it. And then when the sap dries on the sensor, it then first gives green color to the membrane. So this usually doesn't affect so much the measurement. But if I have a small layer of dry organic material on the sensor, or like a thin layer of grease on the sensor, this is affecting my measurement. The best is to clean the electrode after every measurement. And also, it's important when we want to store the measurement, the equipment, sorry, not to leave water on the sample. So I know most of the pH meter is, when we store it, it has to be stored in the storage solution, which is a KCl solution. In our case, the LAQUAtwin meters or sensor cannot be refilled with internal solution. And as it works by the well, it goes from the most concentrated part to the lower concentrated part. So we are going to lose if we leave water on the sample, we are going to lose the internal solution over time, and this is going to reduce the lifetime of the electrode. So osmosis. Okay, so it's the osmosis rule. So it goes from the internal solution, which is the KCl, into the water. So if we leave water on the sample, we will lose internal solution, which is going to reduce the lifetime of it. That's why we recommend to store the electrode dry, but this is also why the electrode conditioning is very important when we are going to use the electrode. Okay. So here we can see different application. Here macro measurement. Here we can have a measurement in food sample. So here we can see it's a piece of tuna. So the tuna contains enough moisture to do a direct measurement. We can do cream. So usually for food sample, what we want to measure is the salt or the pH. And then we have some application of measurement of biological sample like blood, urine, plasma, saliva, sweat. Usually we measure the same parameters than in agriculture, actually, pH, calcium, sodium, potassium. It's very important to understand that our meter does not have it's not recognized, and we don't have any certification to be used as a medical or diagnostic device, but is often used for research application. But the main problem where we cannot have the medical certification for this unit is the cross-contamination. Usually, a medical equipment will have it's either going to be closed and the user will not be in so easily in contact with the blood, or is going to be a disposable. That's the reason why. That is used often for this application and private level for research purposes, and it works great. Also, on our website, we have a different application not available. I've got my colleague Masahiro working in new application notes, so hopefully we can give you some more application notes. Also, we have some different recommendation tables with the level mainly for potassium nitrate, different type of crops. So if you are interested, just let me know. Also, for those who doesn't know it, we have the HORIBA webpage. So there is a short link. To go there is www.horiba-water.com. And then we go to this page, which is specific for the LAQUA line, and we can find product information. We can also download application notes. We can see the videos. We can download the manual. We can download the brochure. We can download the certificate of application, and also we can download the material safety data sheet. On social media, on YouTube, we've got our channel with pretty much video for every equipment. And we also have our Facebook page, which is HORIBA LAQUA North America, where we try to share some information. If you have any question, let me know. Here's my contact details. I would leave it on the screen. This is the end of my presentation. I'm going to answer. Just 2 minutes. I'm going to review the question. Okay. So first, there is a question about the measurement in pH in soil. So when we do the dilution of the soil sample with water, how can I correct the pH? So usually the one-step dilution, even with deionized water at pH 7, does not change a lot the pH. Maybe it changed by 0.1 pH unit, but this is within the meter even accuracy. So most of our agriculture customers, they want to know like plus minus 0.5, but if it's 6.2, 6.3, this doesn't matter so much for them. So usually it's not changing so much the pH value. So with regard to the question, outside inside. So yes, this is a very good question. Actually, the meter, I'm going to go back. Okay. So as you can see here, we have the cover on the meter. So when we do a measurement outside, yes, it's important to close the cover. Yes. Actually, for the calibration and for the medication, for the calibration and for the measurement. So when you do a measurement, even inside or outside, usually you want to close the cover. Okay. No more questions? Okay, so there is one question about the sensitivity or the precision, accuracy, we would call it, of the meter. So usually we are saying that the meter has an accuracy of plus minus 10%. This is because the Japanese are very conservative, but generally speaking, the meters are more accurate. I cannot exactly say how much, but when we are looking, if I can go back for agriculture, I'm talking about agriculture application. I had here. Oops. Yeah, so for example, when you measure the nitrate, the calcium, and the potassium, so you can see that the range. So here again, the nitrate we are measuring here only nitrogen. So if you want to see the real reading, which is on the meter, you will have to multiply 1,200 by 4.42. In nitrate, we are measuring something like in the 5,000. In the potassium meter, we are measuring something in the 3,000, 4,000. So first, it's important for you to understand that from 0 to 99 ppm, the step is one by one. So for example, 45, 46, 47. When the meter goes above 99, then the step is 10 by 10. So for example, 110, 120, 130. And then when we are in the 1000 range, the step is 100 by 100. So 3,500, 6,600, 6,000. Usually the range pretty wide, like 500 ppm, or sometimes it's even wider, sometimes it's more than 1,000, the correct range. So in agriculture, it is not so so important to have such a precise measurement. Yes, usually at the accuracy, I would say this is not what is written on the manual, but in my experience, would be more around 5%, plus minus 5%, when we do the comparison between also two different equipment, this is what we have, plus minus 5%. What is also important when you want to have a good accuracy is what I just explained about how to do the good calibration, how to do a measurement, but also is adjusting the calibration point. So, for example, if you want to measure very, very precisely in the 5,000 ppm range of potassium, we supply a solution at 150 and 2,000 ppm. This is it's okay for most of our customers, there's no problem. But if you want very good precision, it might be better to calibrate at 500 and 5,000. So you are closer to the point you want to make. Okay. So with regard to the interference, we have a interference table. So just give me a sec. I'll try to find. So I have it only in French, but it doesn't. The nitrate. So going at the bottom, you can find this on the manual, and here we have the interfering ion. Sorry, just easier for me in Spanish version, but I will explain. So for example, for nitrate, we can see there's an interference of 10. So what does this mean? So it means that every ppm of the concentration of iodine in the sample will be showing as 10 times more of nitrate. So let's say if you measure a sample which has 10 ppm of nitrate on 10 ppm of iodine, this iodine is going to measure as 100 ppm of nitrate. So you're going to get a 110 ppm measurement, which that's why we say it's not possible to measure nitrate in seawater because of the interference with iodine chloride is like 4% difference. But then most of the time you can see there is not so much. So for the sodium, every interfering ion are in a very, very low. So when we have 10, I don't know what to say, power 2, so this is actually 1%. So this is 0.01% of the concentration of magnesium that will be measuring as sodium. So unless the concentration of magnesium is huge, it doesn't have so much impact. So usually speaking, the main is RB plus with potassium is an issue, or the other one is such a low interference. The nitrate doesn't work if there is iodine. It's also like a high interference with bromide, and 70% interference with nitrite. So basically, when we're doing nitrate measurement, we are measuring 100% of the nitrate and 70% of the nitrate. Okay? And for calcium measurement, we have a problem with iron mainly, and only 1% copper. And then what is also important is the pH measurement. So pH between 3 and 9 for the sodium, between 2 and 9 for the potassium, 3 and 8 for the nitrate, and 12 for the calcium. What I did is strawberry. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to the website. Yeah. Strawberry. Okay, so here we have an application note for strawberries. Okay, there is a link. I'm going to put the link in the comment. And here you have the table. So days after sowing, then you have the nitrate concentration expressed in nitrogen. You have the phosphorus and you have the potassium. Okay, so, and we have some more data. There is a question I was using the LAQUAtwin and there is a calcium level irrigation. The calcium level is always higher than the lab. So actually, this is the first time I heard this because normally it's the opposite way around. So our calcium meter is measuring the free calcium. So in comparison with a laboratory testing, a lab testing will be measuring the total calcium, where we are measuring the free calcium. So normally, our calcium measurement is lower than the lab. So it's strange that you get a higher reading than in the lab. If it's possible, I would like you to send me the data and look at it to understand a little bit better. I can share the presentation. Once it's finished, it's going to be edited and we are going to publish it on YouTube and really watch it. More questions? Okay, yes, no, there is no problem to do the presentation to the people in Portugal as comments. So we'll be in touch together and we'll organize this. No problem. Okay. So I think that's it for my presentation, just about 1 hour. Thank you very much. Please feel free to contact me if you have any question. Let me share again the page with my contact details. Okay. It is. So please take a note. So my email address is Samuel SAMUEL Francois FRANCOIS @HORIBA.com. Sorry for the French accent. Managed to. Thank you very much, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye bye.